working from home, then you're probably not alone, especially if you work for a council, because apparently 97% of councils allow employees to work from home at least one day a week, and nearly a third allow staff to spend 3 days a week at home. And during all of this as well, local authorities have been cutting provisions, public lavatories, free car parks to cover all of their shortfalls. What is going on? Do you really think that working from home is going to make councils more efficient? I don't. Let's speak to Elliot Keck, Head of Campaigns at Taxpayers Alliance. I've been against the working from home thing, not just because I don't get to do it, but because I'm pretty sure that when people are working from home, they probably do less work and are less efficient than if they go into an office.
Yeah, difficult to present your show from home, I'd imagine, Alex. But no, listen, you're absolutely right. And I think, the key thing to say about working from home is something that private businesses have found is that unless it's really carefully monitored, really rigorously enforced and selectively applied, it really can be a bit of a disaster for productivity. And if there's one part of the country that I can be absolutely 100% sure these things are not being properly monitored, it's in local councils. So I think local councils are one of the last places that should be allowing work from home.
Do these figures surprise you at all? 97% are allowing staff to work from home at least one day a week, and nearly a third allowing staff to spend 3 days a week at home.
No, they certainly don't. And looking through the data published in the story, actually very few are 1 day a week. Most are 2, 3 days a week or more. When we did a similar audit back in 2022, we found that during a 3-month period, only 40% of office space across local councils was occupied. So it's absolutely not a surprise. It shows the situation hasn't really changed or improved. And I have to say, Angela Rayner seems to take an even more permissive attitude with local government than the previous lot. So, I am concerned about the future in this area.
Do you think there's any concerns as well when some of the things that councils are dealing with, that it's not particularly safe or secure if people are doing this work from home? Oh, we lost. Well, yeah, might have lost Elliot there a bit. Tim, look.
This is why you don't do
This is
remote,
why you don't work from home.
Yeah.
But I'm fed up with the whole work from home movement. I don't know where it came from. All of a sudden, after COVID, it's become the new normal. My view is get back into work. I think socialising and talking with other people is far better for mental health. I think it's better for productivity. I don't understand if someone's sitting there in their pyjamas all day in front of a laptop that this in any way is beneficial.
I think it's actually particularly hard for younger people, because I don't know what your history is in sort of the workplace, Alex, but I remember when I had a proper job once at the Bank of England, and it was in the conversations in the office, just listening to not part of deliberate meetings, but you could hear other people talking about their relationship with the boss, how they did things. It was that accidental learning that was incredibly important for a young person to understand how to succeed. And it's the conversations after work in the pub, it's the conversations at that famous water cooler, where you learn how to navigate the modern workplace. And so people who've been in work for a long time, but maybe they can do okay working from home, but it's sort of quite a selfish act, really, because it's partly their responsibility to be there to help the new generation.
I think when people are self-employed, working from home is a different kettle of fish, because if you don't do the work, you suffer as a result. You're not making the money. But I think for a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're listening and you work from home and this is not you, do let me know. But I think for a lot of people, they decide, I'm going to work from home today because they get a bit of a lie-in. They don't actually have to get up. They don't have to put clothes on. They don't have to walk out of the front door and into the real world. It's cocooning themselves. It's actually refusing to engage. But actually, it's that process of having a shower, putting on clothes, putting on a bit of slap if you're a woman, getting on some public transport that kind of gives you the get up and go. It's it makes us efficient. It's far too easy if you just roll out of bed and in front of a laptop. Elliot, just before I lost you there, I wanted to inquire whether you think there's any sort of security risks of people in councils also working from home.
Listen, obviously, people in local government, people in any form of government can often deal with some very confidential, very personal data, particularly of often some quite vulnerable people in the local authority. I do like to believe that would generally be handled sensitively. I think the bigger problem simply is that, we know there's already a productivity crisis in the public sector. There's already a productivity crisis in local government, and it's up to the public sector and public public sector bosses to ensure that that productivity crisis is turned around, to ensure that people are working harder, more efficiently, more productively. And I'm not sure that the work from home epidemic is really contributing to that.
When you look at some of the councils and the dire straits that a lot of them are in, there seems to be an overlap. And the reason I ask about the security thing is there seems to be an overlap on these councils, some of them, affording some pretty dodgy contracts. And this is my point. If they're spending my money, right, our money, when we pay our council tax, on contracting services, I want to know the conversations they're having. I want to know the meetings they're having. I want all of this to be transparent and monitored. And frankly, I have a lot of suspicions about what might go on if people are dealing with vast amounts of public money sitting in their houses, if that is what they're doing. Don't know what you think to that, Tim.
No, I agree. And we have a right as taxpayers, public citizens, to know that this is secure. And I don't think those questions have been asked yet.
No, I really don't think it is. Do you think that working from home is going out of fashion now, Elliot? Certainly in the private sector, there seem to be more and more companies saying, right, that's it, time to get back to the office.
Yeah, and I think just to quickly add to what Tim and you were talking about earlier, whenever you speak to people in local government, and particularly people in local government where they've had successes, they always talk about breaking down silos, breaking down, the barriers in between teams and making sure there's more coordination between different teams. And the second you have working from home, that's much more difficult to do. But in terms of the private sector, listen, I have so many friends in the private sector that used to work 1 or 2 days a week from home and are now told they need to be in the office 5 days a week. So, listen, if the private sector don't believe that it's the best thing for productivity, or that generally they don't think it's the best thing for productivity, I think the public sector needs to sit up and take notes.
Well, luckily enough, under Angela Rayner, we'll have sick leave from day one, 4-day weeks, and basically no one will ever have to work again. I can't wait. Elliot, thank you ever so much. Elliot Keck there, Head of Campaigns at the ever excellent Taxpayers Alliance.